describe why ideal protein is a better diet for you. This is based in science. This is an evidence-based diet. We have two studies that are out already. One on metabolic syndrome. It was done in central Wisconsin. It's called the Aspire study. 4 hospitals, 5 hospitals, 400 physicians. They did it with their staff, and they found again that blood pressure, diabetes complications, the blood sugar, triglycerides, and cholesterols were diminished. Another study was done with breast cancer and in women with breast cancer, and they found that doing this diet post breast cancer treatment tended to be much benefit for the women who had undergone those treatments. And now there's a pediatric study currently being done at the University of Florida at Jacksonville. So we're an evidence-based diet, and what I'm going to describe to you first is the balanced diet, if you will. Okay, and the balanced diet is considered, we consider 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And in that diet, when we eat a balanced diet for whatever that may be, but when we eat that, we get vitamins and minerals amongst that food also. They say that a diet is about a 2,200 to 2,400 calorie diet. Okay, so let's look at most other diets besides ideal protein, but let's look at what we call hypocaloric diets. That could be the point counting and other type diets. There are 3 macronutrients here and some vitamins and minerals, but there are 3 major issues with these other diets. One is that there's not enough protein given. See the protein in this diet compared to the protein in that diet? That's a major issue. Why? Because remember I said it was the muscle that burned the calories. And if you don't feed the muscle the protein that it needs, the vitality that the body needs, then the body will slow its metabolism down. It'll perceive that as a threat, and it'll slow metabolism. So we've got not enough protein getting into the muscle so it can burn the calories. 2 major issue here is carbohydrates. There's still too many carbohydrates in this diet. That's not good. Because here's your secret tonight. The main reason why we gain weight is a hormone in your body. You want to take a guess at what hormone that is? It is insulin. Insulin is the storage hormone. It is the hormone that governs obesity over the others. Many people want to say thyroid, cortisol. It's actually insulin. If we can control insulin, we can control obesity to a degree, to a great degree. So that's what we're going to do in this diet. Insulin wants to do this. It wants to take the smallest molecule of sugar, which is called glucose. So we take in carbohydrates, and the body breaks it down into this little glucose molecule. And insulin is the hormone that takes it and puts it into the cell and gets it, if you remember biology, into the Krebs cycle to produce ATP, which just means insulin takes that little piece of sugar, puts it into the cell to make energy. That's what it's doing. Fantastic. We need that. The problem is if we have too much carbohydrate, we then have too much insulin in our bloodstream. The job gets done where it puts the glucose into the cell to make energy, but there's that extra left over. So it takes it and puts it into another cell. And what cell do you think that is? But the fat cells. And so we grow and grow and grow year in and year out because, that was a fantastic hormone for a fantastic reason when we were hunters and gatherers. We didn't eat for a few days. We needed that storage. But today, our sedentary lifestyles, our high fructose corn syrup and sugar-laden foods actually makes us store every single day. It's why as an adult, we gain and gain and gain and gain every year. So we have to control that hormone insulin. And if you're doing these kind of diets, when the carb count is still too high, you're going to get insulin to react. And insulin is going to store for you. And that's not what we want to do. The third major issue here is vitamins and minerals in those foods. There's not enough to run the body efficiently in the way it should be running. So we have 3 major issues when we do this diet. On top of this, what are you told on all diets? You got to get out there and exercise. Now I'm going to tell you about how an efficient exercise is in a minute for weight loss. But when you're not getting enough protein into the muscle, and then you're asked to work out, that body is going to slam down and slow down that metabolism because it is losing muscle all along the way. It seems counterintuitive. Oh, if I starve myself and I work out, I'll lose. But what are you losing? Mostly muscle. And we don't want to lose the engine that runs that and burns the fat. So not a good situation over here. In comes Dr. Tran, and he says, let's get adequate protein, not hyperabundant protein. So he gives enough protein, but not a lot. So this is not an Atkins type hyperprotein diet. As a matter of fact, we're only going to use one natural source of protein at night, which could be 8 ounces of fish, poultry, or a meat. And if you're a vegetarian, it can be tofu or eggs. But we're only going to use one, and we're going to use our protein, which is a smaller molecule of protein, pieces of protein called isolates, and they absorb into the body very well. We're going to use that as our protein sources, three of those a day. So here we go. We've got adequate, not hyperprotein. This is not a hyperprotein diet. So we've corrected the problem over here by having adequate protein. The second thing we do is we do pay attention to fat. We're going to say to use some good olive oil in your cooking and on your salads. And also we're going to give you a fish krill oil supplement to take so that your body is getting some really good fats. And then look at the carbohydrate amount. That carbohydrate amount is so small that the body's insulin level is not spiking. Because here's what happens. We eat the typical American diet. Blood sugar rises. It's called hyperglycemia. And in response, the pancreas produces insulin. That's called hyperinsulinemia. And as soon as we crescendo and just about peak, right there, we're storing. But as we drop down, because insulin is now higher levels than the sugar, we become hypoglycemic. And that's where we get hungry. So all day long we're doing this looking for more sugar because the body craves that. See, this is biochemistry. This is not willpower. This isn't a lack of willpower or a personality flaw. This is simple biochem 101. And if we do this, we can handle this obesity thing. So when we decrease when we use good fats and we decrease the carbohydrate count, we're not causing this surge of insulin. Hence, you're actually in the second week not hungry on this diet because the body is burning fat now for energy. And when it does, it produces something called ketone bodies, and they are appetite suppressing. But also, we don't have this spike, right? And we don't get the hunger pain. On top of that, we're giving you enough vitamins and minerals in the diet too. So we supplement with a multivitamin, a CalMag, and a potassium citrate, and we use an electrolyte salt. That in conjunction with water, 4 cups of vegetables a day, and 2 salads, or as much as salad as you want to eat, and we'll tell you what you can put in and on that salad, provides that dieter with enough energy in week 2 and beyond that equates and equals the 2,200 calories here. I know it says 850 to 1,000 kilocalories per day here, and that's really low. And you'll feel really low maybe for the first 3 or 4 or 5 days. But once you get into fat burning mode, you're going to burn approximately of your own fat about 1,400 calories. On top of the 850 to 1,000, that puts us at 2,200 to 2,400 calories a day. Not only that, associated with our diet, is because of the supplementation and the water and the vegetables, we push your body into what we call an alkaline state. And that alkaline state actually makes you have less aches and pains. So in week 2, the knee pain that you may have had, or the back pain or what have you, starts to diminish because you're becoming alkaline. If you were to do Dr. Atkins' diet, most of the problems there were due to the acidity of the diet. Okay? So that's the major difference between us and other diets. We're addressing that insulin issue with the reduction of carbohydrates. We're making sure you're having good fats, and we have adequate, not hyperprotein, along with these supplements that we take on the diet. And it's simplistic. It works well.
Okay.
Thanks.